So I have here a set of plans for an Irish table that I bought from the still existing online New Yankee Workshop website. Now the New Yankee Workshop, as you can see here, featuring the craftsmanship of Norm Abram. If you read my blog, you can see that I mentioned that Norm Abram and the work that he did was a big influence on me and many other woodworkers as well. Norm Abram, if you're not aware, he was kind of the master carpenter, or one of the master carpenters on the show This Old House, which is still airing on PBS. And off of that, they spun off the New Yankee Workshop, which was simply Norm Abram building furniture. And he would go on that show and just record himself doing project videos. I got to pause for just a second and talk about Norm Abram, because Norm Abram and the New Yankee Workshop, you will hear him mentioned in so many other videos by so many other woodworkers. His influence and his influence over woodworkers and makers has just been enormous. It's almost to the point of it kind of being a cliche when someone refers to Norm Abram. They do it in a respectful and loving sort of way, because they know that regardless of whether they actually liked the work that Norm Abram was doing, or they liked the designs or the way that he went about it or his construction methods, they cannot deny that Norm Abram influenced them just the way that he did me. So many times I sat there and watched the New Yankee Workshop and was just amazed by what Norm was doing and how he did it, and fell prey to the same thing that many of you probably have said, oh yeah, I could do that too if I just had all those tools. And the truth is, you probably can't, because I can't, and I've got a lot of the tools. But that never stops me from just aspiring to do the kind of work that he did, and the way that he approached it as a teacher. And anyone can do this, and if you spend the time to learn how, you can make furniture as well. So yeah, that's Norm Abram. If woodworking has any single celebrity, and there are a couple that are kind of big names in the woodworking arena, Norm Abram is definitely at the top, and just because of the influence of both This Old House and the New Yankee Workshop. So props to Norm Abram. The plans that I just showed you, you can go to the website for the New Yankee Workshop, and while they're not producing any new projects, all of the plans, as near as I can tell, almost all the plans for all of the projects that Norm built during that series are available for purchase and download. And so that's how I came by this Irish table. And I should mention that this table particularly, because when you see the design, I showed it to you, it's not super fancy. It's hard to describe why it appeals to me. Maybe that's why it does appeal to me, because it's not super fancy. My personal taste in furniture run to the more simple design methods. Shaker furniture, I love. That really appeals to me. I like stuff that's built simple and kind of emphasizes function over form, as opposed to much more elaborate designs like green and green furniture, or some of the French designs, marquetry, cabriolet legs, that sort of thing. That stuff is all beautiful, and I admire the people that can do that, but it's not really my taste in furniture that I want to be at. Someday I'll probably do some of that stuff just to do it. But this table has always appealed to me from the time I saw it on the New Yankee Workshop. I've probably watched this episode where Norm builds this table, at least a dozen times, just watching his techniques and seeing what it is. But again, it's a pretty simple design, but I think it's going to be a cool looking table, and I've always wanted to build one. And so now I'm starting it, just finally going to do it. So here we go. So let's take a look at the design that he's got here. This is just a line drawing of what we are going to build. And as you can see, as I mentioned, it's a pretty simple design. Just a circular top, 36 inches in diameter all the way across, supported by
4 rails, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 that you can't see in this diagram, and then 4 simple legs, which are not straight, and they're not perfectly symmetrical. You might be able to see right here that it indicates a taper. We'll talk about that design element when I get to that point about why that's important, because it's kind of interesting to see and something that you should look at when you're buying furniture or considering when you're if you're building furniture. So this is what we're going to do. And in these plans, I flipped past it, but they provide a complete cut list so that I know how much material I've got to get. Yeah, and then it'll break down for you in here how the legs need to be formed, where the mortises need to go. All of the joinery is going to be mortise and tenon. We'll talk about mortise and tenons when I get to that point, which is basically a hole, and the tenon goes inside there. That's some detail on the corner assembly. This is what the rails look like. That's important to note that these rails need to be 20 inches from the end of this tenon all the way to the end of this tenon. I'll tell you why that's important here in a sec. So that's it. The Irish table, that's what we're going to build. Let's talk about materials.